We need to start the marinade. Sweet spot, 2.5 hours. For our Philly cheesesteaks, I have in-house for me ready for our recipe. I purchased a ribeye. The other option could be a flank steak. The ribeye comes from the rib portion of the animal, typically the highest quality, that right down the eye center of that steak. So that's what this guy is. That means if it was right here, up in that top part, if we remember the yolk of our cow, he didn't get a lot of work. It's not going to be tough. We're going to give this guy a little marinade, added a little bit of flavor to our this. The intention is not necessarily to use that as a tenderizer today. It is more to flavor it. Typically, the marinade doesn't even penetrate further than 1/8 of an inch, which is pretty shallow. So its purpose is definitely not to tenderize this. It doesn't need it. It's a ribeye. Okay, so I purchased a 1 1/4 pound ribeye for our recipe. It gives us about 18 ounces to work with. But if we wanted to reduce that price by about $3 to $4, we could go with that flank steak instead. So let's make our marinade. We have our mise en place prepared. Let me just adjust our camera here so you can check out what we got going on the counter. So we have our red wine vinegar. We have soy sauce, we have Worcestershire, we have vegetable oil, black pepper, and we got the garlic out. I have mise en place my microplane for my garlic. Instead of mincing it with a knife, I'm just going to use my microplane. I have mise en place my tablespoon and my half teaspoon for my ingredients. I have my whisk mised and my stainless steel bowl to create my marinade, as well as I have a bag prepared and ready to put my marinade and my steak in and seal up for storage in the fridge. Mise en place prepared. So with that said, let's just get started. We have our red wine vinegar, fresh bottle of this, so we get that open. There we go. So we just need a tablespoon. Get that into the bowl. This is more what you're interested in anyway. Notice I measure it all the way to the top for proper measurement. Soy sauce, we need a whole tablespoon of that. So that's going to bring us our salt into this marinade, filling it all the way to the top. Bringing in the Worcestershire, which is a big combination of aromatics. It's amazing. So we'll get our tablespoon of that. Get that all full. Moving forward, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So that's 1.5 ounces if we remember our conversions. Vegetable oil ready. I'll slip that in the sink. I need a half teaspoon of pepper. Now there's all sorts of marinades out there, you guys. We could be using pepper and crushed red pepper. We could be using all sorts of different things, thyme, I don't know. But this is our suggestion here for our, oh, I got a little extra there, for our Philly cheesesteak. So we're gonna roll with it. Get the lid back on the pepper. Yes, I go through a little bit of pepper in my house. I gotta buy a lot. And last but not least is our garlic clove. So I have this whole clove. I'm just going for one part of it. So I'll go ahead and just break that open a little bit. Be able to get in there and get to my one solo clove. There we go. So we got a decent sized clove here. I'm happy with this size. If we see that. If I start digging into this clove and things start getting pretty small, then I just double them up, right? So like say these 2 smaller ones, I could use that in place of this one big one too if I needed to. So just keep that in mind. I tend to prefer recipes that give actual amounts instead of 1 clove, just for this very reason. What I purchased from Cisco, they're all going to be huge. what I purchased from the grocery store, it's going to be smaller. That might be part of why your recipes aren't the same either, right? All right, so we got the outside off. We'll get this returned to safe storage. Get this off into the trash, into my junk bowl. All right, and I told you this called for one garlic minced, and I'm going to just show you how awesome this is with a microplane versus breaking out our blade. I'm just going to go ahead and mince this garlic up all the way down to just nothing, and I'll just use the Awesome. So go ahead and scrape all that into my marinade. Beautiful. Ditch that piece of equipment. And last but not least, we're going to give it an awesome little whisk. We're going to kind of try to emulsify it just a little bit. All right, we got that rolling, and then we're just going to break out our steak. I'm not going to cut this until tomorrow, right, or until it's time to make our recipe. So I'm going to open up our steak. It's got that use by date of like in December, so I know it's a fresher one. I'm going to slip this right into my bag that I've prepared for myself. Go ahead and slip in all my marinade. And then team, if you're using a Ziploc bag, that's where you go ahead and squeeze as much of the air out as you possibly can. I'm using one of those airtight guys, so I'm just going to go seal that up. So I got one of those food savers, and I use it for when I marinate. So as you can see here, marinades aren't that complicated. We just got to get them started. Get it chucked back in the fridge, take good care of them for time and temperature control. All right, so I've got my marinade created. I've got my ribeye soaking. We remember where that comes from on the cow, that rib area, that lazy part where it doesn't have to do a lot of work. And I'm just packing the marinade kind of around my steak, because that's the whole point, right? So I got this guy all ready to go. I'm going to just set it in a container so that things might not leak out of it or whatever, and it just can safely rest in my fridge overnight. So bye, we'll see you in the morning.